Yo, who do we have here, man? Oh, is it Akib? Is it you?
Hello,
Hey, Anatoly, how's it going?
Lavrov. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. Привет, привет.
Привет.
That's all I know. Uh, great, great, awesome. Welcome. What's the time now? Is it 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, that's right.
Uh,
8 o'clock.
100% just switch.
Yeah.
Here it's 8 o'clock at night. How was your Friday? How was yesterday?
Oh, good. I haven't yet definite plans for today, but tomorrow we have tickets to the theater and uh, other plans we no, don't have.
Fantastic, fantastic. I should be good. We'll be able to have a good conversation today then about different kinds of things. So, how's the weather there looking? Here, it's actually a little bit cooler than than normal.
Uh, the weather in the place where I live, not so cold, not so warm. Uh, I'm looking now. Plus 4
+4.
Celsius degrees. Yes.
Uh-huh. So it's still maybe it's in the +4 is probably around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty normal, pretty nice. It's not too bad, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah.
and what is the temperature in California now?
Here, right now, let's see, San Jose, California, weather. The temperature here is uh, 15 degrees Celsius.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's a little bit warmer, definitely warmer. 15.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's nice. It's beautiful weather. It was a little bit cooler, but the sun was shining, and even from the mountains in the up north where we are in the mountains, it was a very nice experience to stay here, and it's been great. I really enjoyed here. But yeah, so Anatoly, generally, I think what happens in the U.S. is, especially in California, this is my first time experiencing a California winter. We don't really have a winter, I think, in California. I think it gets a little bit cold, a little bit maybe foggy outside, but no snow in this part of the country. Um, in a few weeks, in about 3 weeks, I will be going home to my parents. They live in New York, and New York is crazy. I mean, they get a lot of snow, maybe 6 inches, 12 inches of snow, just a very, very, you know, crazy amount of snow.
Mm.
Um, so I'm deciding how long I should stay there, if I should come back early to California or still stay there. You know.
Yes, I see. I was in New York once. It was in the May, and the weather was fine in that time. But I think I had a conversation with my friend, my classmates who lived in New York at that time, and
Hmm.
he said that, for example, the summer in New York is hot, very hot,
Hmm.
and not comfortable to stay at New York in summer.
Yeah, it depends
Mhm.
actually. Some parts of New York, for example, my parents they live a little bit in the northern part of New York, so they get a
Mhm.
lot of snow, and they also get the heat. I would say most of New York actually does see a pretty strong winter and also a very strong summer. So
Mm-hmm.
you get all four seasons actually in New York. You get a nice spring, a very cold winter, a very hot summer, and a relatively cold fall as well, relatively cold autumn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a nice mix of all four seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, which I like. Many people actually really enjoy having all four seasons. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. There are some advantages in being in place where we can have four seasons.
hmm
Playing in snow boats and etc.
Playing in the snow, going to the beach,
Yes.
growing flowers in the spring, and then playing in the leaves when it's fall time, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's nice. It's a great experience. Everywhere I've lived when I was a child, I always lived in places that had four seasons.
Uh-huh.
But maybe my parents, they're from Bangladesh, India area. They never saw snow before they came to the United States.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was very,
Interesting.
and they were so scared of the snow the first time they saw it on Anatolia. They were so scared. They were like, I don't know what to do with this. It's so heavy. It's wet. It doesn't move. It's cold. So, but then now, I mean, snow is nothing to them. I called my mother today and I asked her, "So, what's the weather?" She said, "Oh, it's gonna snow tomorrow, so we're getting ready. Everything is ready for the snow." Now it's nothing. 22 years later, it's nothing for them. Yeah. So that's awesome. Anatoly, let's get started actually. So today we are actually going to be focusing on WH questions, right? So when we say WH, there's another way to say it really. It's not always WH. You can say wa questions, right? WH. So
Mm-hmm.
the five types of was that we have in English are who, what, when, where, and why, right? So those are the five. And we also include how, right? We
Mm-hmm.
also include how. So who, what, when, where, why, why, and how, right? So when we make questions using these different kinds of words, right, we are trying to figure out different things. So we use when for certain scenarios, we use where for certain scenarios, why, how. Each one has a different scenario that we use it with, right? Um, my question for you, Anatoly, is to help me identify what we use these for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, I wanted to ask you, right? What is a question that you could ask me using one of these words? Any question that you like.
Hmm. Uh, what is the place where you are living now?
Uh-huh. What is the name of the place that you are living now?
Ah, yes. What is
Yeah.
the name? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is the name of the place I'm living now? So right now I am living in San Jose, California. San Jose, California, right?
How is the weather there?
The weather here is fantastic.
Why do you live there?
I live here because my friends live here. They have an extra room in their apartment or in their house, and I can work from anywhere. I work on the internet, so why not?
Yes. And where is located your flat there in the
Huh?
city?
Where is my house located in the city?
Yes.
Uh-huh, fantastic. Where is my house located in the city? The house is located on the eastern foothills of San Jose, right? So let
Okay.
me actually write this down for you, Anatoly. The eastern foothills, right? What do you think this means when I say the foothills?
Foothills.
Yeah.
I know foot, I know hills, but putting it together, it could be hill, maybe name of hill.
Very, very good. Very, very good. It's a particular group of hills in San Jose. That's it.
Uh,
It's a very specific area. So, were you in my class, Anatoly, when I showed people around?
yes, yes, yes. That's
Yeah,
was a very memorable class.
yeah.
I remember palms around your flat, uh, and what else? Birds uh, who was sitting on the wires.
Excuse me. Yes,
That's
Anatoly, fantastic, right? You remember the birds? I think you were the person who told me about the birds, right?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was fantastic, right? So this area, it's much higher than the rest of San Jose. So we're to the east a little bit of San Jose, and we are on some hills, and that's why
Mm,
this location is called the Eastern Foothills.
mm,
Yeah, that's the only thing. Foothills is just another word for hills, really. There's no difference.
mhm.
Yeah, so it's a specific location here. Yeah, fantastic. You're doing a great job with these questions, right? So when we ask a question, Anatoly, with why, what are we trying to figure out when we ask a question with why?
We are trying to figure it out the reason of action, for example. Why do you do this one, or uh, why it happened?
Mm-hmm. Perfect, perfect. Absolutely correct, right? Why establishes the reason behind something. Absolutely. What about if we use how? How do we use how?
How for asking about process? How do you do it? For example,
Mm-hmm.
um,
There's also one other way that we use how. A very, very common way, and so I know
how? Yes, yes, yes. When we are talking about number, about quantity, uh, we can also use how. How many places have you visited now?
fantastic.
How
And
much does it cost? Mhm.
fantastic, Anatoly. And that there's one more. So you said process, quantity, and there's one more for how. One more.
Uh,
It's very simple. It's when we first meet each other, what do we say?
how are you?
Yeah, yeah. So what else is how used for then?
Uh-huh.
It's used for feelings, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So we have quantity, we have process, and we have feelings, right?
yes.
So how do you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you? How do you do? You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of those different examples. Fantastic, fantastic. That's great. And what about where, honestly? If we ask about where, then what are we asking about?
We use where when we are asking about a place. Uh, I think mostly place.
Yeah.
Uh,
Almost exclusively place, right? Where means place. Yeah.
yes.
Where can I find something? Where can I go? Where can whatever the case might be. Where is it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost always exclusively almost always talking about place. I can't think of any way that we would
Mm-hmm.
use where for any other reason. So, what about when?
About time, about dates. Uh, when uh, have you did you visit New York, for example?
Fantastic. When did I visit New York? I visited New York in August of last year, or August of this year. August of this year. So just 3 months ago, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did I visit? Fantastic, right? When did I do something? When did I visit? Right. What about if we ask a question with what?
What it is for pointing something. What is it, for example?
Mm-hmm.
We can see something in front of us, and what is the reason?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when we are asking about something, not reason. something real. It could be not real, something. Uh,
Really, Anatoly, anything.
Anything. Yes,
Anything,
yes.
anything, yeah, you were doing extremely well. You were making it, you're thinking so much, but really it's very basic, right? Anything, right?
Yes.
This thing, what is this? This is a phone. What is this? This is a wallet. What is this? It's a computer, right? Literally anything, right? It could be anything. It can also be an interest. It can also
Yes.
be somebody's interest, right? So, what do you like to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
What food do you eat? Or that's more of a thing. But what food do you like, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So many, many different ways. What is probably the most used of all of these questions?
Yes, yes, agree.
Yeah, what is used extremely often? And what about who? What do we use who for?
We use it for asking about a person, about mostly about people. I think we can use it when we ask about animals, about pets.
Hmm. Absolutely. Also, in the case of literature, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can really be any character in any kind of literature also.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, for example, I'm sure if you read a big novel, right, with a lot of characters, the teacher could ask, who was responsible for the the decline in, or I'm not going to think about literature, but let's say who was the criminal in this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can also use who not only to talk about individuals, but also large entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Large
Yes.
organizations. So, whose fault is it? It's the government's fault,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or who did this? The government did this, right? So it doesn't have to be just individuals, it can be large groups as well.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Anatoly, you absolutely killed that lesson. We say this in a lot of slang English, right? If you kill something, is you destroy something, you kill something, you did it an amazing job, 100%, everything correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. It was fantastic. Did you have any questions on those five was and how, by any chance?
No questions.
No questions on that? Hey, Gregory, welcome back.
Hi.
Good
Hello,
to see you.
Gregory.
Just a moment.
Sure. So, yeah, great job, Anatoly. I want to, once we hear back from Gregory, I want to actually start one quick thing about this lesson. So one other quick thing I want to look at, and then we can go into the article. Hey, Gregory, you back?
Yes, I have a couple of time.
Uh-huh.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you as well, Gregory.
Nice to see you, Anthony.
Hello, Gregory. My name is Anatoly.
Anatoly. Nice to see you, Anatoly.
Nice to see you, Gregory.
Uh-huh. Gregory, I know one word in Russian that I used on Anatoly, but I didn't say it to you. I know привет.
Привет, привет.
Привет. That's all I know. I don't know anything else.
Good for
So,
you.
yeah, I know. I need to learn. Maybe it's a good language. You guys need to teach me. You guys both speak it. So,
Okay. I offer you exchange. I teach you Russian. You teach me English.
maybe,
Does work?
Gregory. We'll see. Yeah, it depends on the time. Honestly, depends on the time. We'll see.
Maybe after several years, or maybe tomorrow.
Who knows? Absolutely. We have to check. Great, great, awesome, guys. So we were talking, Gregory, about these WH questions, right? So what, who, what, when, where, why, how we use them, and how we use how, right? I wanted to very quickly mention some of the examples, right? So we have, for example, a few types of situations that are, important when we are talking about different kinds of words, right? With these different kinds of WH and how words, right? Um, the how questions or feelings, I wanted to just mention this one thing. The how questions really don't have any real, when we're talking about feelings, they don't really have a format, right? So other constructions that we see in English sometimes they follow a very specific rule. subject, verb, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. How questions really don't have too much of a strong um, grammar construction rule, right? You can talk about somebody in, if you want to talk about somebody's condition, you can use the present continuous. You can say, how is she doing? How is she feeling? You can also just use simple present, how are you, right? Or how did you feel? You can use simple past, right? Many different ways. So because I think out of all of the different phrases that we use in English, the how is really the most conversational, right? Normally, you don't ask somebody about something when you first meet them, right? You don't ask them about somewhere or somebody, right? So using where, when, what, and why, those are a little bit more rare, right? How is much more common, and it's a very easy to use word in English. Also, we can combine it with a lot of different things. So, any questions on any of that, guys? On any of these words that we use to make questions?
No questions.
Okay, great, guys, fantastic. Let us take a look, guys, and we are going to be looking at today an article about fast food in Brazil, right? So Brazil is this country that has, we have talked about in Brazil in the past, millions and millions and millions of people, right? A huge fast food industry also, right? Enormous fast food industry. They are, and as any large market, when we look at fast food, when we look at the restaurant business, big companies are trying to move into Brazil, right? And there is some competition now in Brazil over who should capture the most market, right? So there's a fight over the fast food industry, right? McDonald's, Burger King, different companies are trying their hardest to make money from average Brazilian people, right? So here's the article, guys. It's coming from CNBC, which is an American newspaper, or American, I should say, channel newspaper, right? And I'm going to screen share as well, guys, so we can see what we are working on here. And you guys should be able to see this. So, and remember, guys, any of these articles, anytime I say anything that doesn't make sense, an article, in class, wherever, if you don't understand a word or don't understand what I'm asking or what we're saying, please, please stop me. And, we will look at the words together and we will be able to, figure things out that way, right? So, fast food giants, right, are locked in a battle for the Brazilian market, right? When we say the phrase "locked in battle," guys, what do you guys think this means? If two people or two things are locked in battle with each other,
Blocked each other.
yeah, they're blocking each other. Or what does the word battle mean?
Battle, it's war.
Yeah, it's like a fight, right? It's a fight or a war
Fight.
between two things. Yeah. So here they're saying that they're locked in battle. They cannot get out of this battle. They're both fighting in this battle and they cannot leave,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all of these giants, right? They're locked in this battle for the Brazilian market. So global fast food chains, including McDonald's, are locked in battle with Brazil's independent outlets and kiosks in the race to gain a foothold in the country's rapidly expanding fast food market, according to a report. Right? Guys, what is an outlet and what is a kiosk? What are these words?
Kiosk, I understand it's the same meaning in Russian. It's a little budka, a little house, market house.
Yeah, it's a little booth, right? A booth or a little restaurant or just a little
Yeah,
stand. Yeah, it's a place where you can get information, maybe, or you can get some food. Maybe, for example, in the airport they have kiosks, right? Or maybe a restaurant or maybe information.
outlets, it's maybe like McDonald's or Burger
Exactly.
Ranch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, Gregory. You're absolutely correct, right? An outlet is just a location of a store that it's just, I guess, the front part of a store, right? So where they give the food, they take the money, right? So there are many independent outlets, right? Many independent smaller restaurants in Brazil. Not these McDonald's, right? Not these Burger Kings. Maybe individual families have their own small restaurants, or individual fast food restaurants have their own small outlets, right? And now they are fighting, they are in a battle with these global fast food chains, these huge chains such as McDonald's, right? Any other questions, guys, about this first paragraph?
No.
Okay. The one other word I would say, guys, is foothold, right? The word foothold means some kind of a presence, right? If you want to establish foothold, right? Think of the word as it exists in English right now. Foot and hold, right? So you want to put your foot onto something. You want to balance yourself onto something. You want to just base yourself, yeah, just put one foot somewhere, right? So they're struggling to gain a foothold. All McDonald's needs is maybe one restaurant in each of the big cities, or one restaurant in each of the big neighborhoods. If they can do that, they have gained this foothold, and they will never go away, right? So companies and restaurants and businesses, they always like to establish footholds wherever they go, right? The Brazilian fast food market has seen a rapid growth over the past 5 years, with the sector set to hit sales of 50 billion Brazilian real, which is $21.7 billion in 2013, which is up 82% since 2008. Right? This is a report by Mintel. Right? The fast food market is going crazy. $22 billion worth of food, right? Just this year. A burgeoning middle class with disposable income has helped fuel the popularity of fast food, with nearly 1 in 10 Brazilians eating in a fast food shop at least once a day. Right? So 10% of Brazilians eat at a fast food restaurant once each day. Right? Now, what does this word burgeoning mean, guys?
Burger?
Yeah, it's a difficult word, guys. It's actually literature.
Burgers. Burgers is a class of people. Population.
Yeah, it is, right? A burgeoning is something that is growing,
Ah.
right?
Sorry.
So something that is growing is a burgeoning, is something that is burgeoning is something that is growing, right? So a burgeoning middle class means a middle class of people. The middle class in Brazil is now growing, right? And they have disposable income. What is disposable income, guys? What does this phrase mean?
Acceptable.
Acceptable.
Free income.
Yeah, so money that they can spend on luxuries, right? Or money that they have left over after they spend on their necessities, right? So you pay the rent, you pay the car, you pay the bills, you pay for your children, but you still have a few $100 left, maybe, right? So that with that disposable income, you buy your video games, you buy your TV, you go to the restaurants, right? So this group of people in Brazil is now growing more than ever before. Right? There is a larger middle class with a lot of disposable income, and these are the people that the fast food restaurants are trying to reach, right? Because they have the money, right? So the main drivers for this are the expansion plans of big chains, breaking out of the developed Southeast and bringing a more valued, more added value products to the emerging middle classes, particularly in regions such as the northeast of the country. Right. So southeastern Brazil actually is one of those places that is already very, very rich and very established. Right. The fast food restaurants have already gained a foothold in that part of the country. What they want to do is they want to establish themselves in the northeast of the country, right, which is less developed. So they want to establish a foothold there, and they want to attract the middle class population in the northeast. Right? So, because Brazil is a huge country, so they can do a lot of different kinds of things, right? Any questions, guys, about these two paragraphs or anything that we looked at so far?
No questions.
Great. While McDonald's has the strongest foothold in the South American country out of all the fast food chains, with 1,308 stores. Wow. There are 1,308 McDonald's in Brazil. Okay, they have that many restaurants, but there are around 386,000 independent stores, making expansion difficult for fast food giants, right? So this is a big problem. I mean, can you guys imagine 1,300 stores in a country is still not enough?
For Brazil, not enough.
Yeah. Can you imagine having that many stores in Israel, Gregory?
It's difficult to say. I don't know. Maybe we have more. Mm,
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, Israel has how many cities? Maybe 6 or 7 big cities?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it is not so big.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is probably, I think Israel maybe has maybe
but
35 or 40.
this small town. I live in very small town,
Hmm.
and we have two McDonald's and Burger Ranch, Burger King, and
Really?
yes, all things like that. A lot of
You guys
fast food.
you guys have two in just your small town.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Wow. Even in my town, we have just maybe a few, not that many. Um, what about you, Anatoly? Do you guys have a lot of different, or how many McDonald's are in your town?
I live in Moscow. Mm, I think it could be mm, several, maybe 100, 200 McDonald's
Just in
here in
Moscow.
Moscow. Yes. Mm,
Wow.
maybe less. I'm not sure. It is also profitable business, I think,
Hmm.
because mm, in any time we can find the huge number of people. Maybe not hundreds, maybe decades. It could be more precisely, more
Uh-huh.
definite number.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Wow, guys, that's amazing. I mean, Moscow, I mean, I know Moscow's a huge city, but 200 restaurants is crazy. Are there a lot of local independent stores also, Anatoly?
Maybe not so many restaurants. I know near place where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Where do you live,
one,
Anatoly?
two. Hmm?
Where do you live?
I live near metro Kievskaya,
Mm,
subway
I see.
Kievskaya.
I
Uh,
see.
um, I think in each district, when we e- almost every inhabitants of Moscow
Mm-hmm.
could reach McDonald's without using transport.
Really?
For maybe 15 minutes, 15 maybe 20 minutes, not more.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, it's incredible that there are so many, and especially maybe 25 years ago there were no McDonald's and
I remember this was the first McDonald's in Pushkin Square, and a lot of people, long
Hmm.
line of the people.
yeah, that's incredible, guys. It's unbelievable for me to imagine how many people or how many McDonald's there are now. Just in 20 years, they exploded their market, I think in Russia, you know, extremely big, large, popular. Um, awesome, awesome, guys. Thanks for sharing that. I do want to share just one other thing with this, right? So we're looking at Russia. I mean, we're looking at Brazil, and we see here that fast food restaurants do have an edge, right? So in the Brazilian population, 74% of Brazilian fast food users claim that their dining experience offers good ambiance, which kiosks and independent stores cannot emulate, right? So what's interesting in this example is they are saying that 74% of Brazilian fast food people like that their restaurant experience has a good ambiance. What does ambiance mean, guys?
By the way, I found a number of restaurants in Moscow in internet.
Oh, really?
90 restaurants.
90 McDonald's?
Yes.
Wow, incredible. Absolutely incredible. What, how close is the closest McDonald's to you, Anatoly?
Uh, I need 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes for reaching this restaurant from my house.
Is it 10 or 15 minutes by car or
No,
or
no, just walking.
just walking?
Hmm.
Wow, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. The closest McDonald's to me, I think, is half an hour driving.
I have 5 minutes to go to the McDonald's.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I remember it's three in our town. Three McDonald's.
In one street, you have three McDonald's?
Yeah.
That
No,
is
no,
crazy.
no. In our town, three McDonald's.
Uh-huh. Wow. So one just increased in the last 20 minutes? Gregory, I thought you said there were only two. No, I'm just joking. Because it just maybe half an hour ago, Gregory, I think you said there were two in your town, but then now you said three. So maybe the third one happened in the last, 20
No, no.
minutes.
I just remember
I'm just joking. I'm
one
just
more.
joking. But when they grow like this, guys, it's actually crazy, right? It's crazy. And for me, I mean, when I look at the experience that they're talking about in Brazil, they're saying 74% of Brazilians, right, they like that their restaurants have good ambiance, right? Ambiance, guys, means a good environment, a good experience, right? So here in this house, the ambiance is very peaceful, right? There are no kids, no one's running around, there are no women, so it's just guys, I mean, it's a calm, and we are just all working, getting things done. This is a big desk, and we're all working, right? In a fast food restaurant, the ambiance, Brazilians prefer that the ambiance is peaceful, is nice, refreshing, right? And they say that they cannot get this kind of experience in a kiosk or in an outlet, right? So McDonald's wants to target these people, right? They want to establish more and more footholds, right? So my question for you guys, my first one, actually before I get to the questions, any questions from you guys about anything I said or anything in this article?
No, it's clear.
Makes sense. So we have three McDonald's in the small town that you live in, Gregory.
We have in our town 50,000 citizens
50,000. So wow.
and three McDonald's.
Is it expensive, the McDonald's there?
No, it's cheap, but it's not healthy. I understand that, and I try not to use McDonald's.
Uh-huh.
But it's good for people who don't want to spend time in the
Exactly.
restaurant.
Exactly. For example, one shekel maybe will purchase maybe one sandwich.
No, 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 no. 10 shekels.
10 shekels will purchase one sandwich. Okay. So here we have something called the dollar menu, right? So $1 you can get a sandwich, you can get something. So a lot of kids, they go to the dollar menu. It's a big problem behind how they behind a lot of the problems that they have in this country is they say that the kids shouldn't be eating McDonald's, but they make these meals so cheap for people.
It's not so cheap in Israel, but say tempt kids. They make jamboree, and when when a child have a meal, they give makes him give some
Mm-hmm.
toy.
Mm-hmm. And kids love that stuff.
Oh, a lot of child daydream about McDonald's.
Their marketing is amazing. I mean, Anatoly, is it the same way in Russia? Are kids very, very fond of McDonald's, or is it everybody, young people, old people?
Yes, I think yes, and it is a good strategy for that business for them. For example, my children, when they were in the first classes when we small, when they were small, they organized their birthdays with classmates in McDonald's, and I have, for example, video where uh, some staff employees from McDonald's helped them to organize interesting uh, how to say games and etc. in McDonald's, and they were laughing, they were jumping there, and it is like a cool background for a young generation. Maybe it is one reason why so many people use McDonald's now.
Yes, absolutely. So, Anatoly, what you described is exactly what they mean by ambiance, right? So the ambiance for the children, they can have fun, they can play. Have you guys ever seen one of these? See you later, Gregory. Good to see you. I wanted to say, Anatoly, I wanted to ask you, have you ever seen one of these play places? This right here is an example of a play place that we see many times in the United States. We have these locations in McDonald's where the kids can go and they can just run around inside. They can play, they can do whatever they want. Have you seen something like this when, for example, they have a party, they have these play places?
Yes, but I saw it in the different restaurants which is close to McDonald's. I mean, in this word, ambience, in
Uh-huh,
ambience. Yes,
uh-huh.
but it was not exactly in McDonald's, and um, when my children organized their birthday there, the staff there cleaned some place, and they put there some moving stuff like balls, colorful balls, etc. Like this. But now for Moscow, it is not typical to use area like this. Maybe because it's crowded enough without that additional stuff for children.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually that they have. So some of these other restaurants have also begun to build play places because they realize how popular they are for children, right? That's amazing. And it's such a good way, it's such a good marketing strategy to bring children and bring their parents to these restaurants, right?
Yes, yes.
So they're making a lot of money just from these kids because the kids say, you know, mommy, mommy, I want to go. Next thing you know, the mom is also buying a sandwich, the dad is buying a sandwich, the dad is buying some soda, you know? I mean, it's a system that builds itself, builds the income by itself, right? So amazing business strategy, I would say. And also one thing I wanted to ask you, Anatoly, was one of the things the article mentioned very briefly was that they want to establish, and when it comes to Brazil, they want to establish different foods in different parts of the country, right? And this is actually also the case in other countries. So, for example, if you go to a McDonald's in India, right, they actually offer different types of menu items in one part of India versus the other part of India. So, for example, in South India, they eat a lot more vegetables. They don't eat so much meat. So, if you go to a South India McDonald's, the menu is going to be more vegetarian, right? In North India, you're going to see the chicken and those kinds of things, right? And in Brazil, they want to do something similar because it's such a huge country. People actually have different food tastes in from one part of the country to another part of the country, right? So Is this also the case in Russia? Do you know, Anatoly? Do they change the menu?
I think the difference not so much, and usually they use standard menu, and I didn't notice any remarkable differences in the menu in different parts of Russia.
So, for example, what are the popular items? Is it just like, do they have any special items that are specific to Russia? Maybe some kind of soup or some kind of meal like that, or is it all just burgers and the French fries, the same fast food stuff?
I think it is the same fast food stuff. They don't use maybe how it say cook piece cook. One second.
Sure, the chef or the cook.
It could be a pies with pies with apple, for example, or but maybe it is similar for other countries.
Yeah, here we have apple pie also. Yeah, so pies, apple pies. Sometimes in the fall they introduce things like, pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is also actually very popular in the fall. So yeah, it's actually really nice. It's really nice that they have a different variety. Do they sell alcohol in the McDonald's?
No, never.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Beer, it is not possible in McDonald's.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I would imagine. The reason I asked is because I know a lot of older Russian people, they love to drink. So excuse me. No, to excuse me. So as a result, I thought maybe it would make sense that they also have maybe vodka or
I think there is some rules which should follow companies who decided to join that franchise. And one rule, no alcohol drinks.
especially because of children everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big reason. It's a big safety issue also for the people, especially for the customers, right? So when it comes to this idea, I wanted to also ask you, honestly, about one thing, and you know, why do you think it's? Do you think, for example, right? We saw the numbers. We saw the numbers. They said something like 1,380 or so McDonald's in Brazil, and there are 386,000 personal outlets, individual outlets, right, that sell different kinds of food, maybe small restaurants, small kiosks, family-owned businesses, right? Do you think these 800 or so, whatever, I mean, sorry, 380,000 businesses, will they be able to stop this McDonald's establishing a foothold? I mean, and if you think they can, or if they can't, right, what could they do? What should their strategy be? If you were one of these people, you have a small restaurant, and on in your same city, now you see the children, instead of coming to you, they're going to McDonald's, which is just 10 minutes away walking, right? What would you do? What would be your plan in a situation like that?
To create different background and to create maybe more comfortable this place, our own place for the local people, and other big strategy, it could be for example, a slogan in the advertisement against the globalization in fast food industry, and maybe that owners could be use the patriotic feelings, for example, buy national goods, go to national restaurants. But in fact, McDonald's is also organized on the franchising, and it is not mostly not American, not the company from the United States. Usually, it is a company, local company, who joined to rules to the franchisee, and in that case they uh, included to the net chain, as in this article mentioned.
Hmm. And
McDonald's.
and the other thing too, Anatoly, is a lot of times in the United States we are facing the same problem where a lot of these fast food industries are being accused of treating their employees very poorly, right? So they say, for example, McDonald's does not pay their employees a fair wage. Instead of making money, money, they don't make a level of money that allows them to survive in many situations, right? If somebody is working at McDonald's in the United States and they have two kids, it's pretty impossible. They need to have a second job, they need a second income because otherwise it's extremely difficult. And sometimes McDonald's attracts people by giving them jobs, right? At the fundamental level, when you open a restaurant, when you open a franchise, you are providing jobs to the community, right? And
Yes.
it's a difficult question because, I mean, I'm curious to know, is it the same situation in Russia? Do the fast food employees, do they feel that they are mistreated? Are they abused? Are they happy in that position? Or is there a feeling that no, they're not happy and they do it just because it's a job?
I also noticed that so many young people work in McDonald's, and uh, I know that they replace their staff very often. I can guess that the reason for it small salary, and yes, I think it is the same in Russia. They attract young generation. They pay them small salary, um, but it could be good experience for uh, young people to the first job. Uh,
Yeah, but if it becomes something that a family needs to support their children on that kind of salary, it's very difficult. From what I'm thinking, honestly, right? It's almost impossible, I would say, for a family to be able to do that because at least here, I mean, the money is extremely low for somebody who has worked at McDonald's for 5 years. They don't get to, they don't increase their salary because the salary is really the owner of the franchise determines that. It's not even McDonald's that, it's not McDonald's the head office. It's the owner of that particular franchise who decides. And if it's in a poor community, if the owner is very stingy, if the owner doesn't want to pay money, then he doesn't pay money, right? And these people have to stay in this job many, 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 many years, maybe, without seeing any increase, right? So very difficult, and we're having a ton of protests about this in this country.
mhm.
Yeah. I I don't know. I think it should almost be, for example, when I worked before, when I was in high school, I worked in a store. I worked in a like a electronics store. So I was helping people with computers, with their video game problems and things like that. But, you know, I liked that experience because it was my first job. I was able to really understand, okay, the value of money, right?
Mhm.
If I asked my parents for money before, I didn't realize it was hard work, right? Now I have to realize, like when I work now, absolutely every penny, every dollar, I have to be careful with my money, right? So it teaches people good skills. It teaches young people very good skills. But if you were to tell me that a 35-year-old man with two children has a job at McDonald's and the McDonald's is paying him very little money, but he still does it because he has no other option, I think something needs to change,
Mhm.
right? Is there anything we can do? I mean, would you say you would focus on maybe if you had a restaurant like that, would you focus on creating this kind of global awareness program, like you were saying, how could you tackle the problem of employees not receiving a fair salary?
Yes, yes, I agree. It could be also one reason for providing local restaurants.
Hmm. Because for the most part, local restaurants they treat their employees better, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because they have an interest. They want to build loyalty in their restaurant, right? They want to say, my father started this restaurant before me. You are working here. You are like my family. You know,
Hmm.
much more close relationship between the owner and the employees compared to in a fast food restaurant.
Yes, yes, agree. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting, Anatoly. I don't know what will happen, but if we see thousands of restaurants open in Brazil, right, it might really change the way business is done in that country, I think, for fast food. Would you say, are they always building new McDonald's all over Russia, Anatoly, or does it seem to be stopping, or do you see when you drive around new McDonald's, in maybe different neighborhoods?
Hmm. My personal opinion that number of McDonald's now is enough, not more for the future. But the last vote for the market, for the
Mm-hmm.
market,
Mm-hmm.
who could be winner in the competition
Really?
for
Yeah.
customers. Hmm.
Wow. Wow. Anyway, Anatoly, great class. I really enjoyed the conversation. I wanted to ask you before we left if you had any questions about the who, what, when, where, why, how we make those questions, or anything about the article that we looked at. Anything I said that maybe you were confused or vocabulary, anything like that.
No questions. Thank you very much. Interesting topic, and I repeated that grammar part also useful for me. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anatoly. It was a pleasure. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Anatoly. Bye bye.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I see. I was in New York once. It was in the May, and the weather was fine in that time, but I think I had a conversation with my friend, my classmates who lived in New York at that time, and
Mhm.
he said that, for example, the summer in New York is hot, very hot,
Mhm.
and not comfortable to stay at New York in summer.
Yeah, it depends
Hmm.
actually. Some parts of New York, for example, my parents they live a little bit in the northern part of New York, so they get a
Hmm.
lot of snow and they also get the heat. I would say most of New York actually does see a pretty strong winter and also a very strong summer. So
Hmm.
you get all four seasons actually in New York. You get a nice spring, a very cold winter, a very hot summer, and a relatively cold fall as well, relatively cold autumn.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's a nice mix of all four seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, which I like. Many people actually really enjoy having all four seasons. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. There are some advantages in being in a place where we can have four seasons.
Hmm.
Playing in snow boats and etc.
Playing in the snow, going to the beach,
Yes.
growing flowers in the spring, and then playing in the leaves when it's fall time, right?
Yes, yes.
It's nice.
I'm looking now. Plus 4
Plus four.
Ce- Celsius degrees. Yes.
Uh-huh. So it's still maybe it's in the plus four is probably around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty normal, pretty nice. It's not too bad, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
and what is the temperature in California now?
here right now, let's see, San Jose, California, weather. The temperature here is 15 degrees Celsius.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's a little bit warmer, definitely warmer. 15.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's nice. It's beautiful weather. It was a little bit cooler, but you know the sun was shining, and even from the mountains in the up north where we are in the mountains, it was a very nice experience to stay here, and it's been great. I really enjoyed here. But yeah, so Anatoly, generally, I think what happens in the U.S. is, especially in California, this is my first time experiencing a California winter. We don't really have a winter, I think, in California. I think it gets a little bit cold, a little bit maybe foggy outside, but no snow in this part of the country. In a few weeks, in about 3 weeks, I will be going home to my parents. They live in New York, and New York is crazy. I mean, they get a lot of snow, maybe 6 inches, 12 inches of snow, just a very, very, crazy amount of snow.
Mm.
Um, so we are deciding, I'm deciding how long I should stay there, if I should come back early to California or still stay there. It's a great experience. Everywhere I've lived when I was a child, I always lived in places that had 4 seasons.
Uh-huh.
But maybe my parents, they're from Bangladesh, India area. They never saw snow before they came to the United States.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was very,
Interesting.
and they were so scared of the snow the first time they saw it on Anatolia. They were so scared. They were like, I don't know what to do with this. It's so heavy, it's wet, it doesn't move, it's cold. So, but then now, I mean, snow is nothing to them. I called my mother today and I asked her, so what's the weather? She said, oh, it's going to snow tomorrow, so we're getting ready. Everything is ready for the snow. Now it's nothing. 22 years later, it's nothing for them. Yeah. So that's awesome. Anatoly, let's get started actually. So today we are actually going to be focusing on WH questions, right? So when we say WH, there's another way to say it really. It's not always WH. You can say WA questions, right? WH. So
Mm-hmm.
the five types of WAs that we have in English are who, what, when, where, and why, right? So those are the five. And we also include how, right? We also include how. So who, what, when, where, why, why, and how, right? So when we make questions using these different kinds of words, right, we are trying to figure out different things. So we use when for certain scenarios, we use where for certain scenarios, why, how. Each one has a different scenario that we use it with, right? Um, my question for you, Anatoly, is to help me identify what we use these for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that, I wanted to ask you, right? What is a question that you could ask me using one of these words? Any question that you like.
Hmm. Uh, what is the place where you are living now?
Uh-huh. What is the name of the place that you are living now?
Ah, yes. What is
Yeah.
the name? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is the name of the place I'm living now? So right now I am living in San Jose, California. San Jose, California, right?
How is the weather there?
The weather here is fantastic.
Why do you live there?
I live here because my friends live here. They have an extra room in their apartment or in their house, and I can work from anywhere. I work on the internet, so why not?
Yes. And where is located your flat there in the
Huh?
city?
Where is my house located in the city?
Yes.
Fantastic. Where is my house located in the city? The house is located on the eastern foothills of San Jose. Right. So
Okay.
let me actually write this down for you, Anatoly. The eastern foothills, right? What do you think this means when I say the foothills?
Foothills.
Yeah.
I know foot, I know hills, but putting it together, it could be hill, maybe name of hill.
Very, very good. Very, very good. It's a particular group of hills in San Jose. That's it.
Uh,
It's a very specific area. So, were you in my class, Anatoly, when I showed people around?
yes, yes, yes. That's
Yeah,
was very memorable class.
yeah.
I remember.
Yo, who do we have here, man? Oh, is it Akib? Is it you?
Hello,
Hey, Anatoly, how's it going?
Zafaran. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, good. Привет, привет.
Привет.
That's all I know. Uh, great, great, awesome. Welcome. What's the time now? Is it 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Uh,
8 o'clock.
100% just switch.
Yeah.
Here it's 8 o'clock at night. How was your Friday? How was yesterday?
Oh, good. I haven't yet definite plans for today, but tomorrow we have tickets to the theater and other plans we no, don't have.
Fantastic, fantastic. I should be good. We'll be able to have a good conversation today then about different kinds of things. So, how's the weather there looking? Here, it's actually a little bit cooler than than normal.
Uh, the weather in the place where I live, not so cold, not so warm.